Welcome to In. I'm Dick Clark, the chairman. I'm pleased you're joining us tonight. This is live, and it's one of our two shows a week. For those of you who are not familiar with the Roundtable, it's an organization that I formed back in 2020. We meet every week on Wednesdays. So we put together this program to give you some insight in terms of what we talk about, what we learned from that, and share with you so that you have the benefit of the thinking of this group. There are 12 members in this group that come from as far away as Colorado to Muncie, Indiana, to Alabama, all over the country. It's a group of futurists. They're all legendary leaders in their own field. It's very diversified in every aspect. And we tackle some very, very critically important issues. And today was no exception. Leadership has always been a part of my career. And it's something which is very important to me and obviously important to you. We've made an observation over time that it's changing. And the topic of today was leadership fatigue, the new pandemic. Now you might wonder why we pick that topic. Well, let me give you a couple of personal stories that helped me arrive at that. Several years ago, I was invited to be a keynote speaker to a group of top executives, about 150 in the audience. And we were talking about leadership and the importance of leadership, the impact of leadership. And they became pretty vocal about some of the frustration they have on leadership in general, and particularly some organizations. So I let them continue to voice their concerns, and I got pretty excited about it. So at the end, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, raise your hand if you're willing to step up, run for public office, and be a leader. I never expected the result. So I said, raise your hand. And everybody's head went down. And I said, did I say, let us pray? But it was so interesting that the group that have been in leadership positions in the past, but weren't quite ready to go into public sector leadership. Then, more recently, I began to see a trend of people who are serving in public roles deciding, it's getting to be a little bit of a challenge. I'm worried about my children. I'm worried about my spouse or partner. And I'm worried about myself. Death threats, anger, and they're asking the question, is it worth it? So what we see happening, and we kind of verified that today in our meeting, it's not well known just how many people are saying, I'm done, can't do this anymore. And they're stepping down. Not at the end of their term, they're stepping down right at the moment. And then some of them are deciding when my term is up, I don't think I'm going to run again. Then what else is happening is that if they are a member of a larger group representing a constituency, so they're working hard in the body that they're working with, and then they go home and they face their constituents. And the group is not really happy sometimes, pretty vocal, sometimes outraged, where the individual who's committed to doing the best job he or she can are getting almost beat up by the group. So leadership fatigue is real. And I tested it with 12 people today. And I said, you come from all parts of the country. Do you really think that this is a problem? And they said, it's a hidden problem. You don't see what's behind the scenes, and you don't know what's coming. So then we said, okay, well, what do we do about it? Well, we're futurists, and we're not trying to correct today's problems. We're trying to look at the next generation, the future, 5 years from now. So we begin by asking ourselves a question. What are the reasons why people accept leadership positions or run for leadership positions? I'm going to put my glasses on so I can read it. We found, and there's good studies to support this, there are 3 reasons, and it could be all 3. Sometimes it's 2, and sometimes it's only 1. But the 3 reasons why people seek office. 1, power. They like the power when they're the head of a community, when they're a mayor, or when they're a member of Congress, or a member of the state legislature, or a school board. You name the organization, but they all have constituents. And they enjoy the power of being in that position. Number 2 is they run for a purpose, something that keeps them up at night. It said, I've got to step up and do something about this. So that was a pretty common topic. And on Monday of this week, 58 years ago, a 30-year-old dedicated, legendary person who changed history took on in his life, as short as it was, the purpose. And of course, I'm talking about Dr. Martin Luther King. And we celebrated on Monday what he did for the world, not just America. He was a man driven by purpose. With purpose comes responsibility. So that's a key. The third one, wealth. When you're in a position of leadership, lots of times you will benefit financially. Legally, I might add, not illegally, but legally. You're in a position that after you finish your term, you make public speeches, you write books. So being in a position of power and influence, and also for a cause, a lot of these people make a lot of money, and they make it honestly. So there's no intention to make it look like it's something that is illegal. So how do we know that this is something that's been looked at? So it's interesting. There are organizations that have dedicated their time and efforts. I'll name a couple. Combating Terrorist Center at West Point, the Rising Threats. Chapman University research on public office threat trends. News reports, of course, on the Minnesota legislature. Bridging Divides Initiative, threats and harassment data set from Princeton. So it's not something that just our group all of a sudden decided that this is something important we should look at. So, okay, so what does that mean looking forward? Leadership is not only for those who want to run for public office, it's everywhere. On Monday night, for the football game with Indiana, and Miami, you saw leadership on the field, not only with the coaching staffs, but you saw leadership running those plays. Leadership comes from even a neighborhood association. Someone will rise to the occasion. But as I said to the group, too often I hear, hey, I'll support it, but I don't want to lead it. That happens all too often. But so how do we groom future leaders? Well, it doesn't start when you're an adult. It can, but it doesn't. It can start as early as elementary school and middle school. There's plenty of opportunities to inspire young people to step up and lead, from a student council to a debate group, even until you get a group of people together and they're on a mission. Somebody will rise to leadership in that group, and it won't be an election. It will be a natural elevation of one person who just has the right personality. So that's what we talked about. And it was, we used up that full hour and a half today. And it was really quite inspiring to hear people from all walks of life to be able to share their stories and confirm this is important. Here's another example which didn't exist years ago. YouTube, social media. You have people who are on those social media platforms who have developed hundreds, thousands of followers because they want to absorb the messages that come out of those individuals. So it's out there. I think it's all of our jobs, particularly if you're parents and you have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We have a responsibility to help those people understand the importance of leadership. And it's incredible how important it is. And it's going to take years. You got many generations. But if you look at the Congress, for example, you have a lot of people in the Congress who have been there a long time. And God bless them for their service, regardless of what party they're from. But some of them are going to wonder, maybe it's time. I think I'm going to call it a day. But those are individual decisions. But they're there to serve. And they have to face their constituents when they go back to their districts. So that's what we talked about today. And does anybody have any questions? Just put it in chat and I'll try my best to answer them. I can give you a hint. Now, next Monday night at 8 o'clock, I will give you more details about what we're going to talk about next Wednesday. I think it's the 27th. I'll give you a hint. Colleges, education. We're finding more and more, and it's a big topic that we talk about every day. Where are we going to get the labor force for the future? And how is it going to be? I see I have a question. And I'm going to read the question. I think it's a great question from a good friend of mine. 25 years ago, I became interested in the topic of leadership and did a deep dive into the topic. Seems like there's a lack of leadership and fatigue. I'd love to see the continued ongoing solutions. I totally agree. And sadly, it's not turning on the lights. It's not something that's going to happen today or tomorrow. It's going to happen over time. But it's important because we live in a country where leadership is of paramount importance. So I appreciate that question. Are there any other questions that anybody has? This is only our I think it's our second show or third show, but as talk about the show to other people and invite them to join. So I'm going to let you get back to what you're doing, but next week I'll be on Monday night. I'll confirm the topic we're going to have on Wednesday, and then we'll talk about on Wednesday of next week at 8 o'clock exactly what we learned by that. And I think you'll be quite interested in that. So we have another one. How do we keep in front and center? I think for people like Maureen, who is asking the question, um, Maureen is a study because people watch what she does. And I've known her for a long time. And she will inspire people. How do I do what you're doing, Maureen? How did you get into that? And you who are in a leadership position, people will watch you. But the thing that you're really trying to achieve is a leader that's respected will get results. But a leadership who's just doing it for their own purposes and have no following over the years, and you can still impact people. But the greatest example you can provide is your own leadership. Listening is so important. We hope you'll do that. Maureen, thank you for coming to all of our meetings. She gets perfect attendance. Anyway, she's a great person. If you don't know Maureen Kohler, you should, because she's doing some things now which are just awesome, and she's making a difference in people's lives. She's making dreams come true. So anyway, we'll see you next Monday night at 8 o'clock on Facebook. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. We'll see you then. Thank you and good night.